What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day honors those who died in service of the United States in the armed forces. They gave their lives to protect this country and give us the freedoms that we have every day. I feel like sometimes myself and everyone just takes it for granted, but I wanted to thank anyone out there if you have served or know anyone who has served and passed away in the line of duty. Thank you for your service out there. But in honor of Memorial Day weekend, I've decided I'm going to do my top 10 favorite war movies. Now, this isn't going to be all war movies, so the movie Braveheart's not going to be included. I think there's a lot of movies that capture the trauma that veterans have to go through and just the true horrors of war. Coming in number 10 for me is going to be Where Eagles Dare, which is a movie that stars Clint Eastwood in one of his earlier roles. And essentially the premise of this movie is there is a base and it's up on like the top of this mountain, and the only way up is this one ski lift. And I haven't seen it in quite some time. I grew up watching it, but I know that it has some great action, especially in the third act. It's got cheesy elements to it. It's from the 60s, I want to say 1965 or 1968, but it's a war movie that I grew up watching, and I have to appreciate it for that reason. Coming in at number 9 for me is going to be Lone Survivor, starring Mark Wahlberg, directed by Peter Berg. This is actually the first R-rated movie that I ever saw in theaters, so there's a fun fact for you guys out there. But I really acknowledge this movie because it captures the horrors of war. The movie title Lone Survivor is a spoiler in and of itself, so seeing Marcus Luttrell, played by Mark Wahlberg, going through these horrors, being the lone survivor of his group, is absolutely tragic. And it's really unfortunate that this is based on a true story and that Marcus Luttrell in real life had to go through this horrific event. Very gory, bloody at times, but it really grows your appreciation and respect for veterans and the hell that they have to go through. The last, 5 minutes of this movie as well, when you see real life pictures. The song Heroes, the version by Peter Gabriel, is played in this, and it really does pull at your heartstrings by the end of this movie. Also, the Murph, I believe, is this, they do it every Memorial Day. It's like a CrossFit workout you can do, and I know that people will probably be doing it before they watch this video maybe. This movie is a great one to watch, especially on Memorial Day, especially to remind us what veterans have gone through. Coming in at number 8 for me is going to be The Hurt Locker. This movie actually won Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and it stars Jeremy Renner in the lead and Anthony Mackie in a supporting role, and it looks at soldiers through a different perspective as we see Jeremy Renner's character playing someone who disarms bombs, so that alone is very interesting for a war movie, not something we see captured in Hollywood too often. But what I really love about Renner's performance is the fact that we see the trauma that he goes through and the PTSD he deals with while at war, because there's a scene where he's in a shower and he's fully clothed and everything, and this terrible act just went down, and he's sitting in the shower and just sitting there kind of breaking down and crying, and that's the best acting I've ever seen from Jeremy Renner. Anthony Mackie in the supporting role kills it, and all around the performances are great. It's a very great look into what they go through, especially the pressures that are associated with war, especially a tense act like disarming a bomb. Coming in at number 7 for me is going to be another Best Picture winner, The Bridge on the River Kwai. This movie is from 1957, I want to say, and it stars Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course. Essentially, the premise of this movie is there's a group of prisoners of war who are stuck, and they're forced to build a bridge for the Japanese. That's what they're doing while they're captured. But there's a group of Americans on the outside who are going to try and break out these prisoners and destroy the bridge, and that's where the plot gets really interesting. I think this movie is totally deserving of Best Picture. It's a true classic. It's got one of the more iconic quotes of all time toward the end of the movie, actually the closing line of the movie. It shows kind of like a Stockholm syndrome of what prisoners of war go through, because some of the prisoners get attached to their captors and are willing to do whatever it takes and even forget the true reason they are at war. So it tackles war from that lens, and I truly appreciate that. It's a beautifully shot film. Coming in at number 6 for me is going to be Hacksaw Ridge, starring Andrew Garfield. This is a brutal ass movie. It's one of the first R-rated movies I saw in theaters without... He's the man. Hacksaw Ridge is based on Desmond Doss, who is a conscious objector, meaning he does not believe in the use of firearms, but he goes to war even though he doesn't want to use a weapon. So that's kind of an interesting premise as you see this court case regarding it, and it gets passed, so he goes to war without having a gun on him because he refuses. The story is really about the lives that he saves because he is an army medic, and there are some tragic, heartbreaking scenes where Andrew Garfield's acting is so great as he's running through a battlefield, shots are being fired, mines are exploding, but he's saving people's lives because he just has such a strong faith and belief in what he's doing, and I absolutely think that he deserved the Oscar nomination that he got. The movie got a Best Picture nomination, a Director nomination, all of these things I think it deserved because it captures just Desmond Doss's life to a T, and there's brutal scenes. I mean, it's pretty calm for about the first hour, and then when they go to war, it reminded me of the opening of a movie that I'm going to talk about later on this list, but I think that it's a great story that needs to be seen by as many people as possible. Before I give you guys my top 5, definitely hit the like button. Again, comment your favorite war movies down below. There are so many great ones out there that I couldn't put them all on this list. Coming in at number 5 for me is going to be Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. I love this movie. It's only an hour and a half, but what's so unique about it is the way that it truly just looks at war. From the land, from the sea, see from the air. It's not really about the characters, it's about the event of Dunkirk itself. And a lot of people kind of lose track of that when they critique the movie. They say, oh, I don't even care about any of the characters. The point of the movie is to show war and show the event of Dunkirk, so the characters kind of are a side show in this movie, if you will. We're supposed to be almost the characters in this movie as we watch it and see the war around us. We're just thrown into the mix, and that's what I love about Nolan's direction. This might be his best directorial effort, in my opinion. He got a director nomination. He just is able to show war so perfectly from different points of view and make you feel like you are a soldier on this beach or in this boat or even in the dogfights in the sky. Have to give major credit to Nolan for this one. This is a slept-on movie, a misunderstood movie in my opinion, and a borderline masterpiece when it comes to war films. Coming in at number 4 for me is going to be another Best Picture winner, and that is going to be Platoon, directed by Oliver Stone, with an all-star cast of Charlie Sheen, Tom Berenger, and Willem Dafoe himself. This movie won Best Picture for a reason. It shows the Vietnam War through a realistic and gritty lens, but it shows the different sides of these soldiers at war. There's the liberal points of view, the hard conservative points of view, and they go and butt heads with each other so much. Tom Berenger's character, he gives a great performance because he is such a hateable and just evil character, and then you've got Willem Dafoe, who is kind of like a voice of reason. Then Charlie Sheen is like the audience, us watching this movie, because we're just seeing it from his kind of rookie, almost virgin eyes. But there's also the most iconic shot in war movie history in this movie. I will not spoil it, but it's the one where there's a character, I won't say the character, they're getting shot and they're flailing, and you literally see this parodied in Tropic Thunder, which again, that's a comedy classic war movie. I'm not going to put it on this list, but you got to check out Tropic Thunder if you haven't seen it. But Platoon has spawned many mentions, like I just said. It's just a true classic Best Picture war movie. I almost feel guilty putting my number 3 at number 3 because it's not the conventional war movie, but I still had to put it on this list. It's going to be Inglourious Basterds, directed by Quentin Tarantino. It's not a war movie in the sense that you're looking at a true event. It's Quentin Tarantino having fun with a war movie, and that's what I love about it. You have Aldo Rain, played by Brad Pitt, and I want my Nazi scalps. He gives one of the best performances. He's got that Tennessee mountain accent going. You gotta love it. And then you've got Christoph Waltz playing Hans Landa, one of the most evil characters on screen. Au revoir, Shoshana, just at the beginning. Has one of the best openings in movie history, in my opinion, with The Milk. That's all I'm going to say. If you know, you know. That opening hooks you in. It's told in brilliant chapters. It has some of the best tension scenes, especially the bar scene with this. It's revisionist history of what happens in World War II. Coming in at number 2 for me is going to be The Great Escape. This is a movie I grew up watching with my dad and brother all the time. It stars Steve McQueen, the man, the myth, the legend. But it's about a prisoner of war camp, and you see them plotting how they could escape. So they dig these tunnels underground. That alone just intrigues me enough. They have to be so secretive about it so that the guards can't find out. They have this tunnel system going with like scooters. Imagine if you're in PE in elementary school and they have these little scooters you'd ride around with. That's what they were using on tracks to kind of funnel out the dirt. They had a bunch of collapses. So there's one character named Danny has panic attacks. That just adds to the intensity. And then the whole time they're just plotting. And the third act is the escape, hence the Great Escape name. And it is cinema. Who's going to make it out? Who's going to die? Who's going to get brought back to camp? You have to find out by watching the movie, but it's a true classic. It's on Criterion. I actually own it on Criterion. Cannot recommend this movie enough. Steve McQueen's a legend, and this is a great way to get introduced into Steve McQueen's filmography with this classic prisoner movie, which if you like prison break movies like Shawshank, you'll like this, but it's also got a lot of great war vibes to it as well. But coming in at number 1 for me, taking the top spot, has to be the pinnacle, Saving Private Ryan. I took AP US History in high school. Dana King, man, the myth, the legend, what a goat. But he told us stories. He said, I've heard stories from veterans going into this theater. In the first 20 minutes when they stormed the beaches of Normandy, they were having to walk out of the theater because of how realistic Steven Spielberg captured the storming of the beaches of Normandy. And it's honestly the most brutal filmmaking I've ever seen. It felt like I was one of those soldiers storming the beach, and I have to give major props to Spielberg for capturing that. But once the movie plot kind of progresses, where they have to rescue Private Ryan, it's really just like almost an epic of a movie, as you get these really intense scenes where there's like sniper shootouts, there's an epic third act battle, and all of these things accompany it. But what it really tackles is being a veteran, because it's told almost in flashbacks as there is a veteran visiting the graves of his fellow soldiers, and it's just really heartbreaking. This is one of the few movies that makes me cry at the end, and it really makes you have a found respect for veterans. And I feel like we all, like, if we take it for granted too much, if you rewatch Saving Private Ryan, you'll be like, oh my gosh, these people go through absolute hell to protect this country. And it's truly something I have to respect. Steven Spielberg, this is probably his best directed movie. That and Schindler's List, it's close for me, but It is a must-watch war movie with phenomenal performances, brutal and realistic action sequences, and just a great message about what soldiers and veterans do. So that's going to do it for my top 10 favorite war movies. Hope you all enjoyed. If you haven't seen some of these, I highly recommend them all. And if you guys have any recommendations for me that weren't on my list, definitely drop in the comments. I'll let you know if I've seen them or have not seen them, and I might be watching some war movies very soon. And if you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. It would mean the world. I'm trying to make the push for 3,000 subscribers. You all are the best. I thank you for the support as always. Thank you for your service, veterans, and those who have given their lives in service of this country. I cannot thank you all enough. You are always remembered. Until next time, see you guys later.